Seriously? Goodness. SparkleBerry. It's making me log in. I may be live. I'm not really sure. Does it look like I'm live? I'm
just getting in there too.
Okay. If I'm live, give me a second, guys. It made me sign in again. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Hey, 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 hey. Hopefully I am live. Megan is here today with us, so she's going to be helping field questions. We are going to do a very to the point and great instructional video, hopefully, on how the best way for you to use some of the design benefits from Silhouette Studio and actually be able to put that to use in Cricut Design Space. So this is a really hot topic. I've been asked so many times to show how I do this. So I don't typically do it, but that's because I design everything in Silhouette Studio because I do really, hey guys, I'm so sorry if in the beginning I was signed in, it told me that I needed to sign in again, which was crazy because it was showing I was live. So sorry about that, but we're gonna get going and you're gonna love it. Now, this being said, there are many different ways, and of course I spelled this wrong. There are many different ways to do what we're about to do. So some of you already know them and you feel very confident in them, but I'm gonna show you the easiest way. If you are super budget conscious and you don't want to spend any money and you really wanna find a way to go about it, then this may not be your way, but I encourage you to watch it anyway, because sometimes the time that you spend trying to go around and figure out ways to go around it, it would have been just better to buy something just to get it over with. And I'm not talking about buying a whole silhouette. You do not have to buy a whole silhouette to be able to use the studio that the version that you need to use. Good morning, Jerry. Hey, Karen and Catherine. Lunch hour got rescheduled today, so I looked out to catch this. Yay, Ann, awesome. And then you can always replay it later as well. So hey guys, lots of good morning. Okay, now let's get started. I'm using my my broadcasting software, so I'm still in my learning curve of that, but I'm not using my phone, so if somebody calls me, it won't bother the broadcast, which has been happening before. So let's go ahead and go over to Silhouette Studio really quick and show you a few things that, let me get some of these things so I don't, okay, we're gonna switch over. You ready? Okay, now, I have basically searched, I did a search for a ghost, and I searched free clip art and then the word silhouette, because what I'm wanting is a high contrast item, okay, or object. So that this is in order to trace it. But right now, this is Silhouette Studio. I am using the Business Edition. The Business Edition is not a free software, but the basic is a free software. There are a few differences. One of them, which will make a big difference to you, is that in Business Edition, you are able to export things as JPEGs and as and other files as well, JPEGs and SVGs, so you can actually take it and use it in your design space. So we're gonna do that today. So first, I found this cute little ghost that I traced and made it into a cut file on Silhouette Studio. Let me show you really quick, Cricut users, how easy it is to trace. I know you can do a similar thing like this in Design Space, but this is a little more advanced and I like it. So here's my silhouette ghost that I just basically downloaded this and saved it to my downloads and said, okay, I'm gonna make it a little bigger, okay? So this is just a picture. You can see how it's not transparent. That is just a picture. Let's see if I can move this little screen around. I cannot. Okay. Okay, we're gonna trace it. Over here on the right-hand side, there is a little thing that looks like a butterfly with a square around it. This is the tracing panel. I'm going to select my trace area, and remember, you can pause this, replay this later, and pause it and as you're working with me if you want. So right now I would just watch and just try to get all the info you can, and then we will, you'll be able to go back and replay it. Okay, so I basically just, it says select trace area right there on the right hand side, and I just selected what I wanted to trace. And if you see a bunch of yellow, solid yellow like this, that's very good. There are some other different features on this, but for your first time tracing, I wouldn't go into those just yet. And then you go here on the right hand side, hopefully you can see it where I am. It's right there at the top of my screen where my head is. It says trace, and you just press trace, and then boom, you have your cut file now, okay? So I'm going to select my my JPEG that I pulled in. I don't need it anymore, and then I'm now going to fill in the color. You go to the fill panel. I do this so that I can see exactly what I have, okay? And then these take a little while to explore and get to know them, but don't let it overwhelm you, okay? I'm just showing you some of the big differences in studio and design space that really make a difference, guys. Okay, and then there you go. I now have my little black ghost. You don't have to fill it in if you don't want to. It just helps me know what I'm doing with what. Now, so far we've covered tracing in Silhouette Studio. Let's say we wanted to do that. You can actually, if you just want to get the free software of the Silhouette Studio, you can take a screenshot of this. You just put a black box, but you could already do this on Cricut, guys. And I can show you guys that in a minute, how you can trace something similar to what I just did on Cricut. So there's no reason to export this over to Cricut. But where there is times that you want to do this, there are times. In Silhouette Studio, offsetting is such a huge thing for me. Like, I offset all the time, and then I also use the double offset, okay? So Stephanie says she's excited for this tutorial because she has the business edition, and she still needs to do half of the stuff in DS because I can't for the life of me figure out how to do it in Silhouette. Okay, well, we can do more Silhouette stuff as well because really the software it's just great. It really is. And I think that Cricut is great as well. I just feel there's a little more freedom. And I totally didn't mean to spell Cricut wrong in that beginning intro, by the way. I know how to spell Cricut, but it auto-fixed on me, I bet. Okay, so let's get to offsetting. And I'm getting hot, so I'm going to take this off. Okay. Do you see anything so far, Megan?
No, people are actually responding.
Okay, yay. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to select my text tool over on the left-hand side, okay? Do you see where it shows my little mouse? Here he is. He's going round and round, and I'm going to select my text tool, which is similar to the Cricut type of texting, you know, font. It's where you type in your text, and I'm going to type in boo, okay? Now, this is, I can now change my font up here. Okay, if it's still green, and I get back to that green box by double clicking, if it's still green, you can't change the font. But let's say I want to change the font. I click off, click back on. When you see those little boxes everywhere and black lines, then you are good. I'm going to make mine bigger just by dragging it like this, okay? And you go up here. There are a couple different places you can change the font. I'm using my top tool so that you guys can see it. And let's change it to Lavendaria. Okay, this is a perfect one, right? Because this is one that you would want to thicken. I would totally want to thicken it. What's wrong? Can you not see?
Nope, you're okay.
Okay, what happened? Oh. Okay, can everybody see me?
I just want to see if they can see the screen.
Oh.
To make sure.
They should
So
be.
when you're doing stuff.
Yeah, they should be able to see the screen. Yeah. Okay, so I love this font, but it's not thick enough. And you could use the bold, but what if you don't have the bold? Then you want to make it a thicker font, right? So this is something that you can do easily in Silhouette Studio. You click back on this box where we have, basically you've selected it, okay? So you see your black lines back, you see your numbers, which are your measurements, and now I want to thicken it. This is where the magic happens, and hopefully you guys can see this over here. We're going back over there above my head, okay? And do you see where it says open the offset panel? This is where the magic happens in offsetting. Like totally. So I'm going to click on that, and then up pops my offset panel. Because I have my font selected on Boo, I'm going to go up to offset, and I'm going to select offset. The default is 0.125, but typically when you're just thickening a font, you're going to want it to go down, and it doesn't actually apply the offset until you say apply. So I'm going to go pretty close to my font because I still want it to be readable, right? Or legible. Legible? Maybe it's for handwriting. I don't know. Okay, so
Legible.
I decided on 0.065 for this particular font, and I think this is going to be great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Now, you see a bunch of lines, and I'm sure that looks a little, for you Cricut users who aren't used to the offset, this may be a little confusing. Okay, so in thickening a font, hopefully I've gotten it small enough. I'm going to pull out the inside, okay? I pulled out the inside, which is this one that we just pulled out. That's the original font. That's when we typed, right? So this is still a font. I could even change it. If I double clicked on it, I could even say boy, you know, I could change it. This is now a path, so you cannot change it because once you do an offset, you've made a path. I hope I'm not losing you guys on that, but I know I have a very wide range of users on this. So basically, I don't want my font anymore because, well, you know what? We do.
Just off the page.
Well, I do want it because is Megan being impatient?
No, but I do have a question. Somebody
Yeah.
was asking,
Uh-huh.
is there, and this kind of has to do, is there a way to set a default font? I guess so every time you type, it automatically pops up.
That's a great question. If I have any Silhouette experts on, that would be, I'm sure there are ways to set defaults. I know defaults like to reset themselves sometimes in Silhouette whenever you upgrade and certain things like that. So, but we're going to keep this little boo for a little later, but this is what I want to show you. Okay, so you now have this offset, guys, okay? I'm going to right click and then group it just to make things easy for later, okay? And so they won't separate, and you Cricut users, you have that same option in Cricut Design Space as well to group things like this. And then I'm going to go back up to my little artist palette that's on the right-hand side, click it, and this is my fill panel, and I'm going to change it to orange, okay? So let me show you what this is going to look like. So that, if I wanted my font to be basically just thickened, and that's what I'm using my offset for, I could now just use this as my cut file, and that is what I could use. And when you're using pattern, this is a great thing because you want thick fonts if you're going to be using pattern. But let's say we wanted to actually use both, and we wanted to layer our project, right? So let's change this boo so you guys can actually see it to black, okay? So we're going to take our boo, and I'm just basically using the select tool that's up in the upper left-hand corner over here, and I push that, and then that's what I'm using to just drag. It's very similar to Cricut in that way. You guys, these programs are very similar. It's just I feel there's a little more freedom in Silhouette Studio. So now you have this beautiful offset in Silhouette Studio, and let's say for a layered project, right? So let's say you wanted to get this to your Cricut because you love how your Cricut cuts. I love how Cricuts cut. I think they're very, the most intricate things can be cut. They're great machines. I understand you don't want to go out and invest in another machine just yet. And so you're going to need another step to get this out of this software, right? You cannot thicken in Cricut, Debbie, directly that I know of. So let's see.
Jared's wondered, did you weld your offset, Mandy?
Oh, very smart. The offset doesn't need to be welded because there are no little, now I did not weld my font. So we can do that right now. So I'm right clicking welding. Thank you, Jerry, I forgot that. And then I'm gonna group this back. Now, let's say we've designed everything we wanted to in Silhouette Studio. This is exactly how we want it, and now we're going to pull it over into Design Space. If you have the free version of Silhouette Studio, which everybody can have the free version, you will not have this next option. You will have to do things like this. Actually, we're going to show you the paid. If you would upgrade to business, this is what you'll be able to do, because this is why we all love business. One of the biggest reasons. Are you ready? And then I'll show you the cheap way that takes longer, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go up to File, and then I am going to Save As. I'm going to say Save to Hard Drive, okay? And over here, whenever I have Business Edition, Silhouette Studio Business Edition, I am given the option to, let's just call it Ghost, I'm given the option to either save it in V3, V2, GSP, SVG, a PDF, or a JPEG. Let's save it as an SVG. Okay, this is actually how I make your designs, my SparkleBerry box members. This is how I'm making your designs and saving them as an SVG for you to be able to use in Cricut Design Space. And then you just say, I saved mine to my downloads. You want to know where you saved it to. And then I just say, okay. I'm about to tell you, Miss Rebecca, because it's a one-time fee. And basically, it's a one-time fee. If you're going from Silhouette Studio free, like the free version of the software, all the way to business, it is $55 right now on sale on Swing Design. And I'm gonna put that link in this post as soon as I'm done. And but I don't know how long it's gonna be on sale. I sent Will a text this morning, but he must be very busy. So Swing Design has it for $55 right now. You pay it one time and boom, you can just take this over, just like I'm about to show you, and play with it in Design Space and do back to your original software and then cut it on your Cricut. So let's go back to Design Space. Okay. So this, I was playing with a different idea earlier, so I'm just gonna delete this. Okay, so now I'm in Design Space. So for my Silhouette users, this is Cricut Design Space. It's an online platform, and here we go. I'm going to go to Upload, which is on the lower left-hand side, and I push Upload, and then I'm going to upload image. This is where you can upload a JPEG, and if you have a high contrast file like that ghost, I could pull the ghost in and basically trace it. It's just not as advanced as the Silhouette Studio version. Okay, so I'm gonna browse and look for that offset file I just made. I called it Ghost. What's wrong? Megan's laughing at me over here.
Posted Will, busy.
Oh, is Melissa Viscount on?
She is.
Hey, Melissa! You're supposed to tell me these things.
She just got on.
Okay.
Like seconds ago.
Okay. So this basically, I found it in my downloads, okay? I was able to save it as an SVG, remember, because I have Business Edition. Now I'm going over, I found my SVG file, and I'm going to save it in my Cricut Design Space. And you're going to be able to now go to it, insert the image onto your artboard, and you should be able to ungroup it and work with these separately. So let's get it a little bigger. Now, you may have to play with it because what it looks like is that it didn't bring over my offset as big as I wanted it, right? I don't know why it grabs it like that. Oh, probably because I'm trying to drag it the wrong way. But nevertheless, you now have an offset. So you may find that you want to do a bigger offset in Silhouette, and when you bring it over, actually it should all be fine. I think that it's just that the outside of it is black, and that's why it's coming in like that. But these are separate now, and you should be able to, I don't know why, do you guys feel like it's glitchy? Because I don't remember, okay. I don't remember it doing some of these things that it's doing to me. But you can get these things separate like this now. And you can now layer it and do pattern for some of it, or do two solids if you want to, however you want to do it. But this is the easiest way. If you want to do it the free way, it's not going to be exact, and it's going to take more of your time, which if you guys don't have a lot of time, which most people don't, that actually means that you're spending money, like time is money. So if you're spending a lot of extra time doing these extra steps that I'm about to show you, then I would just get the $55 designer edition and just go for it. Like it's the business edition, because being able to export it as an SVG is so easy. Okay.
Somebody did say, what is the cost to go from Designer Plus to Business?
I don't know exactly the cost to go from Designer Plus to Business, but he does have a sale on all of them right now. Okay, so definitely. Oh, Melissa said she's spying.
She is.
Okay, so let's go back to Silhouette. I'm going to show you guys a way to do it that would be free, a little messy, but if you're after the free and you have all the time in the world in your hands, then maybe you have time to work on that. So what I'm going to do is I need to separate these, because whenever you bring in an image, which is what we're going to be doing, is basically creating an image to bring into Cricut, you need for the layers to be separate, because you can only bring in, as much as I know, it's to bring in one layer. And so that's why you have to put them side by side. You want a high contrast, so you want a black outside, or the offset, change that to black. Now, you could change your, I like to keep my little grid there because I do like my grid like that, so I don't want to go change the settings. You can do that. Let's just instead create a white box and put it behind it, okay? Are you ready? So I went over here to the left-hand side. I grabbed my shape tool, and I'm just going to make a white box, and I do that by making my rectangle. Go back to your select tool, press the arrow, which is the select tool, press your box, fill it with white. Remember, you can always replay this later and watch it back to get these little bitty things. This becomes very, very second nature once you do it a few times. And oh, it looks like my design disappeared, but it didn't. Remember, these are just layers. So you just need to right click on that box and you send to back, okay? And it makes basically a white, there's a reason I'm doing this, I promise. It's making a white background for me so that I can have a high contrast. So now, in order for me on my Mac to do a screenshot, I push down Shift Command 4, and I can bring up my little, basically this little thing right here that's gonna help me create an image from this. It's just basically taking a screenshot. All computers are different. If you're not a Mac user, I don't know what you use, but if you are, it's Shift Command 4, okay? And then you just select the area you want to take a picture of, and then it goes straight to your desktop if you are a Mac user. So let's go back to Design Space, and let me show you what you can do with this, okay? And this one, like I said, I didn't spend a ton of time doing it because I just feel like it's just not as consistent, and I felt like it was just so easy just to bring it over from an SVG. I just think that's your best bet. It's $55 to go from free to business, and then you're done, and then you can design freely in both, and it's fine. So now we're gonna browse and look for that picture that I just did. It went to my desktop, so I'm gonna go pick it up and bring it back here, okay? And I'm uploading this image to my Cricut Design Space. I'm choosing simple because I have high contrast colors, okay? And then I'm going to push continue. If you've never done this before, this is kind of cool. You're basically gonna choose all of the areas that you don't want to be traced for your file. So, and whenever you click on it, it makes like a transparent looking like square, you'll see. So see, it basically everything that was connected, I don't want the pink in there, right? We just want the black. So then you go to each little space, and this is how you trace in Cricut. Each little space and clear out all these little spaces, okay? A couple more steps than Silhouette Studio, but that's okay. If you're really trying to save money, I totally get it. You can even do a preview, which is something new. I didn't have that option when I was using Cricut a lot. I'm hiding my preview. Now I'm going to press continue. I know you guys can't see that part. Then you're given two options. You can save as a print then cut image, or you can save as a cut image. We're going to save as a cut image because I don't do a lot of print and cut right now. So, and then you can name it if you want, but I'm not going to do that for this. And let's see. Oh my gosh, Designer Plus to Business, Melody said, is $18.50 on Swing Design. So we'll get our link up in a minute, and that's great. That's great. It really is helpful. So then down here, guys, on the left-hand side, you see the file we just created from just the image with the screenshot we made. Remember? It won't be exact, though, so that's the thing. And then we brought it in, and you should be able to... So this is where the problem is. I now, unless there's something that I don't know, Stephanie, and this is where Stephanie and I need to work together, because it's one layer, I can't ungroup it. So that is a problem. That means that I would have to either type this into Cricut in this font, which is fine, but for me it didn't match up the same, and just bring over my offset, or, I'm sure I can slice it. What did you say?
Could you do it in 2 files?
Yes, you can do 2 separate files, which again is just another step. So again, ladies, I really, and gentlemen, I really think that the best bet, there are other softwares out there like Inkscape that's free. Just bite the bullet, do it one time. I mean, it's up to you, but I just think it's just so much faster for you, and you're going to save time in the long run, and save yourself a few gray hairs probably just by learning how to do it in Design Silhouette Studio. So, and paying that business edition upgrade, okay? Now, Stephanie's going to give some tips. She's great. Duplicate. Oh, that's right. So I could duplicate it, hide part of the design, and then just basically I have two and I hide part, and that's a great idea. We're gonna actually do a double offset really quick because I'm running out of time, and I want you guys to see the double offset and why I use it. So Megan is excited about this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and use her name for my double offset, okay? Double offset is great with pattern because you can put it inside shapes and make still the pattern show up really, really well. I'm gonna use, so I've just typed Megan's name, okay? And again, if you wanted to see these steps a little slower, these beginning steps, just remember you can go back later and we're gonna be able to do that later. I'm using the font Mantera because it looks really fun for Megan. And then, so here we go. And just like in Cricut, you're gonna wanna weld this. So I right-click weld is my go-to. Right-click, love right-click, welding, okay? And then let's go ahead also and change it to her favorite color, which is pink. Now, the reason, so like I said, there are many different reasons why you would want to, let's see if I can do, I should have brought in a shape, but you're just going to have to go in the ghost. There's many different reasons you want to double offset. My favorite reason is because it really makes the font stand out, okay? First, you need one offset, right? So let's highlight by using our select tool, selecting the box. Then going over to the right-hand side, selecting offset, and pressing offset, okay? Remember, you can choose how much space you want in here. So if you wanted it, usually when I do a double offset, I go smaller, okay, with my first offset, because this is just gonna be the empty space. This is gonna be the negative space, this first offset, okay? So there you go. I'm kind of watching that line in between the M and the E. I don't like that it was starting to form a new line, so I think I like it where it is right there, and which is 0.080, and I'm gonna apply that, okay? I still have my offset panel open, so let's just go ahead and push offset again. And then you can see, you can adjust this if you want a bigger offset or a smaller offset. I'm just tweaking mine just a bit, and then I'm going to apply that again. Now let's get, the next thing I like to do is actually form a compound path because I want them to be connected. So I'm going to clear Megan's first name away, okay? And then I'm going to select these two offsets together. And let me show you why I'm going to do this. If I were to not make a compound path, then whenever I did this, it's going to make all of this, it's not going to be how we want it to be, right? Because we don't want that whole solid black behind it. We want there to actually be a white space. So now I'm going to select them both offsets. I'm going to make a compound path. And this now has formed what I want as my double offset. So when we place this here, you now have the negative space that you want in between the offset, the double offset, and the and her name, okay? So there you go. Very simple, very cool. If you wanted to export this as an SVG, because you're upgrading to business edition, because I think you guys all should, because it's gonna be super, super awesome, let's go ahead, we'll get the ghost out of the way. Let's go ahead and export this again, okay? So I'm gonna save to hard drive, and some of you probably noticed I'm not using the latest edition, but that's just because I am not an early adopter of, I should be, but I am not. So we're just dealing with this version right now. I'm going to save this in the format of an SVG. What? What do you see, Megan? Somebody say something?
Yes.
Okay, she's about to tell me, but we're saving it as an SVG in my downloads. I like to put it in my downloads because then I go back and I erase all my downloads to save room on my computer. So it's just my own little place. You could have your own folder, probably smart, but now I can go back to my, let's do a new board. Let's replace this one. We're gonna upload to Design Space what we just did, the SVG. We're browsing our downloads for Megan's offset, and let's see, or the double offset, and let's see what it looks like. Oh, awesome.
Wow.
Beautiful. We're gonna save that as Ghost Silhouette. You select it, you're gonna insert this image into your artboard, and voila, there you go. You right click it, you should be able to ungroup so that you can work with the inside of Megan's offset, so her actual font and that. So for you guys who have been wanting to offset and double offset for ages, go ahead and bite the bullet and just do it, because truly it's gonna be worth it. So Megan, what do you think?
Jerry's asking, oh, I'm in the camera. Jerry's asking, can you zoom in a bit?
Oh, zoom in. Let's see. Where does she want to zoom in? Maybe on the Cricut design space?
I think in the Cricut design space.
Okay, let me take you back.
When you were doing the double offset.
Okay.
I think.
It may be here. Maybe she wants to see how accurate this is, because it's not super accurate. I'll tell you when you bring it in as like a picture, but this is pretty good like this. This is done pretty well. So if you wanted to cut this with your Cricut, see, I may ungroup this.
When you were doing the double offset.
Oh, when I'm doing the double offset. Okay, so let's go back to Silhouette, and I'll do one more quick double offset for you guys, okay? So let's zoom in. Okay, ready? So
Karen told you it's less than a trip to Target.
it is less than a trip to Target. It costs you less than a trip to Target, Karen says. That's so true. Okay, right side of the offset panel, my ladies, over there, and my gentlemen. Hopefully I didn't freeze for too long. Am I back, Jerry? Open the offset panel, which is the star with the offset around it, okay? You're going to press offset. You adjust it how big and small you want it. I like to make mine smaller. We're gonna go with 0.080 and apply. That's offset number 1, okay? You need the double to make that space in between. So here we go. We're going to offset again by just staying in our offset panel, and then I'm going to adjust my size to make it how I think it's gonna look, and then I'm going to apply it. Yeah, this is so much better. You're right, Jerry. Thank you for telling me to zoom in. And then we're gonna pull Megan's name off, okay? Because I wanna make this into a compound path. Now there's also something here that I'm not really liking. There's a little line right there. You can wait to make your cuts because you can just weed it out and it's not a big deal. Or you can release the compound path of this and delete these little things, okay? But it's really not necessary. I'm gonna now show you what the difference is between forming the compound path and not, one more time. I've basically selected everything, and I'm gonna change the color of it so you can see what's happened. There is not a compound path, so basically these are just two lines hanging out together. They're not a path yet. So once I right click and make a compound path, it will then put them together where they are one, okay? And now this is a solid black. If you were gonna do a solid black, Megan probably doesn't like that black. She probably wants it to be like dark pink or light pink.
Yes, Jerry wants to
purple, or, and then this is where we could do the fill in the patterns. And I don't have all of my patterns in here because they would take up a million gazillion, take up a lot of room. But let's see, and then let's go back to solid. And this is just a little extra, guys, so don't worry. If you're trying to, don't try to learn this yet. You will learn all of it once you put your mind to it. It's not hard. It really becomes second nature. So go back and rewatch this if you need to. Karen wants to know how to show a knockout. Knockout is another really big one. So let's do that, because Cricut, that's another reason why you're gonna want to use Silhouette Studio sometimes, because you really need a knockout. So let's do a circle, just to keep it simple, okay? I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna take this offset away because we're gonna make another one in a second. So here's a circle, and I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, let's do this. Now let's offset Megan again, starting from scratch, the very first offset. Okay.
Hey, Jerry is asking, did you delete one of the offsets?
I didn't, but she's talking about the knockout, I bet. So in a second, we will delete the offset for the knockout, okay? So we did an offset, and I'm just gonna apply it. I like where that is, okay? Now, in order to, if you wanted a double offset inside of a knockout, let's just do a simple knockout, okay? So basically, I made an offset, so it's going to make a little space around Megan's name. And remember what I said, if once you select these, you're going to select both of those with your select tool. If we turned them all purple, then they would be just a solid purple. We want them to be one. So select them all, right click, go down to make a compound path, and that's one way to do a knockout. Another way, let's go back. I'm just doing undo right now, okay? Another way is if I had Megan's name, let's just get this out of the way. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna put this up front and I'm gonna change the color so you guys can see it. In order to do the knockout, you wanna know what you're doing, and so like you wanna see everything. And then the front, you should have the design that you're trying to actually knock out in front of the design.
So we're circle, correct?
Yes, the circle is the one we want in the back.
Okay.
We want the circle in the back, you want the name on top of it. So we're going to bring that to the front, okay? And you're gonna put it wherever you want it. And then you're going to select both of these again. And over on the right-hand side, you have the knockout option, which is the modify panel over on the right-hand side, okay? Then you press that, and then you're going to push subtract all, okay? If you do that, once you move this away, boom, it's gone. And you can move Megan back in there, and voila. So I would probably, if I were doing this design, I would probably make the circle the pattern and inside the color. But let's just change this to color for a second so you guys can see.
And they are asking, how do you make it look like pattern? I think
okay.
Big circle.
So go over, so if we wanted to change that to pattern, you go over to fill color at the very top, and there is a pattern. You see how there's gradient, which is cool, because watch this. You can make little gradients. And this is helpful whenever you're trying to see what a design is going to look like with a pattern. And I just have a couple of my patterns in there because, one, it takes up a lot of room, and two, you can usually get a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. So if I know I'm using plaid, I may just go grab one of the default patterns that are in there and put that in there. And then if I, like here's, I think the flamingo's in here, so that's really cute. You can see how pretty that is. And there are advanced options over here as well. So it's basically, you're filling it. It's in the fill panel, but you're just going over to the pattern selection there at the right on the top. What time is it? Oh, I have an appointment in about 20 minutes, and she's gonna be like, you were live, that's why you were late. So you can actually even scale the pattern. Be careful doing this because it will freeze up on you sometimes. But you can even scale it to where it's more realistic or however you're wanting it. But that is it. That's it, guys. Those are really, really fun things that you can do. And of course, there are tons more. So we can do this again. But if you are a Cricut user and you were on the fence about the business edition, I hope that I just convinced you, because I think being able to use your Cricut, because I know you love your Cricut, and being able to use Silhouette Studio's awesome little extras, I think is really worth it. So think about it. Let me know what you decide, because I want to know how you guys feel about this. And then also know that Make It With Mandy is every Tuesday and Friday, and usually in the morning. And we also have another box live. We don't have the next one planned yet exactly on the calendar, but we will. And then also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We are pretty much done. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you guys liked everything, and I hope you have a super fabulous weekend. Bye, guys.